Okay, for the record, the recorder is on now. What happened? Explain to me what you just told me, please.
Okay, now, for starters, we're not going to put her too deep because she needs to stay aware of Alex.
Okay.
So it's going to be limited. But in a nutshell, what happened in the life for her, we're going to say Jesus for her, what happened in that life has totally repeated itself in different ways.
In what way?
We have a duplication.
Tell me
in
how.
the sense of how, as far as the abandonment from a child,
Okay.
non-support.
She's not.
Now, in all fairness,
She's not going to understand that. Can you please explain why abandonment of a child? What is that got to do with Jesus?
Okay, with Jesus and Mary and their son. Now, in all fairness, he was quite young at the time of the death, but in later years, he did not support, and he went his own way. And Mary was left to live the rest of her life, not knowing where he went. Times were different.
Okay.
There wasn't technology for communication purposes. So that's one aspect. Mm-hmm.
Which makes it worse now because there is communication.
Yes. Yes.
Now, how old was he when he left Mary?
14.
Ah, the magic number.
That magic number.
About the same age that Liam was, more or less.
Really starting. Yep. And that was part of the conversation with Hallie and Wendy last night, was how many battles Hallie has put up for all the right reasons and lost every one of them.
Is Liam from the same soul as Joshua?
No.
Okay.
No. So that wasn't a part of things in any way.
Okay.
Now, having said that,
Mm-hmm.
from Eliana's perspective, the difference in feelings involved is not greater because it was
I feel Jasper...
It's not greater in the sense of a mother losing her child.
I feel Jasper's involvement around me right now. I think he's using his life as an example of... Okay, with Lisa Marie. Elvis died. He's back in spirit, totally, is Jasper. He sees what George Klein and Jerry Schilling did to Lisa Marie. We didn't record that conversation, but it was a pretty heated exchange between Jasper and GK's soul. And I suspect what might have happened is the same thing. Tell me if I'm wrong or not. That even though Yeshua was dead, Eliana saw what happened, and that had an effect on her soul.
Yes, yes. Now this time around, she's part of the body, though. She's feeling it in a different way. She was part of the birth. She was all of that. There's a difference there. And then that on her protection. As a mother, we were talking to Hallie about that, trying to help her understand the depth of a mother's love, regardless of all, and why it hurts so badly.
Yeah, but isn't she...
And it's that attachment It's the attachment of a mother to a child right from conception.
Isn't it? Okay. Isn't it like she's a double mother right now, though? She's a female spirit or soul, and she's in a female body.
Yes. 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 Thank you. Now, we actually went through a brief little exercise with Hallie, equating the difference, and it's not to demean a father's love. It's not. It's not intended to do that. But we used the exercise of people playing God. And this was to try to help her understand the connection of a mother with a child. And we used the exercise of, people playing God. If it was possible to have a woman's egg in a petri dish or a test tube, add the sperm, and then thinking of it that way and have science-made babies. And then we had her thinking, could there be that they would be like a job? They would be just a job taken care of. But then we got her thinking a little deeper, and she doesn't have a huge knowledge base, but we had her thinking a little deeper about, could a baby really grow that way? There's no umbilical cord. How do you feed a baby? The umbilical cord from the baby to the mother. So we had her thinking these different ways. And her self-defense mechanisms went into, guess what, guys? People start doing that. There ain't no sex for you. And then we got her thinking, same for girls, because there are women who truly do love having sex. So then she wrote the notes, guys and gals, no sex for you. They start doing that kind of stuff. But then we got her thinking about that umbilical cord.
What about the umbilical cord?
And that's the lifeline.
Why are you bringing up the umbilical cord? Now, I know you said lifeline. Is that like the umbilical cord from the soul to the human?
Well, in some ways you can equate it that way, but the umbilical cord, when a baby's been conceived, that's how a baby survives, is the nutrients from the mom
I know that.
to the baby.
I just wanted
So that's what we were trying to get Hallie to understand, was that lifeline there. So even if they could do stuff like that in a petri dish, what do you do about the umbilical cord? Because Hallie's seen and heard stuff. And she has tried to talk to Liam about the importance of nature. And he's gone off, well, technology in this day and age, they're just making bees that can pollinate, and they're doing this and they're doing that. So she was trying to get him to respect the true value of real nature. She even lost that battle.
All right, can I ask you a question? Before we started recording, you started telling me about how Yeshua turned himself over because they threatened his family. That might be important for her to know what you said earlier. Could you please repeat?
Now, it was a combination of that he was forced. He was military people in a nutshell. I mean, it was armed guards. He was forced, but at the same time, so they were physically taking control, but at the same time, they were emotionally threatening the family that he loved.
What were they saying to him?
He made his choices. Well, they were going to hurt them. They were going to kill him.
And what did he do?
Now she said it.
What did he do when
Now
they
she
said
said
that?
it. It stopped him from fighting.
What does that mean, stop
He
him from
begged
fighting?
them. He begged them not to hurt his family. He begged them. So when people say his life was all intended by God to come and do this and do that, but die for our sins, they threatened him. They overpowered tortured, they took, they forced, and they threatened him with his family. And then they say that Mary is nothing but a prostitute, that they weren't married, that there were no children.
Well, that's the lie that Paul made up after he couldn't find Mary.
Yeah, they lied about a lot of things.
Yeah, well...
To cover up their asses, excuse my language.
Well, look, next week we're going to get them, the four of them, on the carpet. We're going to talk to their souls, too, if that's okay.
That's the kind of stuff, heavy-duty stuff, does need to wait until after Miss Alex has gone back, because Hallie needs to be deep for...
I understand.
We can't do that. And yeah, thank you.
This message will self-destruct in 5 seconds. Well, is there anything else that you want her to know about the parallels between Yeshua's life, or do you want me to say Jesus or Yeshua?
You know, do what you're comfortable with, but when we're talking, we'll probably say Jesus, just because that's what she's accustomed to. So either way, she's getting more accustomed to it, so I wouldn't stress about it at all. Just whatever comes out, comes out.
Well, I'll say Yeshua.
But at this point in time,
I'll say
that's
Yeshua,
fine.
because Yeshua was his name, and that's the truth.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
It's just, she's just most comfortable. That's what she grew up with. That's what she hears all the time from most people.
Oh, I found the clip. I found the clip from that Steve Martin movie. I'm going to send it to her. Hilarious movie.
Okay. That'd be a good thing. But at this point in time, as far as parallels, what we really want her to understand right now is that a part of her emotion, Jasper just gave percentage, 60% of her emotion lately has been Aliana.
And why is that?
To help her understand. Well, it's watching the repeats and the protection, and when Hallie goes through certain feelings, and then even some are kick-started by Aliana.
Yeah.
And it just, as things will trigger, and then boom, it's like a rapid, non-stopping snowball that we just need to let proceed, get through it. When it starts coming, ebbing down, it ebbs down. But there is still, Aliana is doing way better, but there is still some anger. And sometimes all it could take is for Wendy to say something about when you get a job. And Hallie already knows that. She has legitimately been looking. Nothing has come through. And then the one day, Hallie got defensive and said, well, has Shane found a job yet? It's Wendy's son. And she says, no, he's not having any luck either. But it's different for men. Well, why is it different for men?
Well, that's not a good thing to say to her.
No. Oh, no! And it was innocent, and it was just like a defense mechanism, because she had just told Hallie, da-da-da-da-da, and then as soon as Hallie said, well, your son, then it was flipped. Oh, but that's more acceptable, because it's, no, no, those are not the great kind of things. However, fortunately, their friendship does stand those kind of little glitches.
Thank you for sharing all this information.
You're welcome.
So Joshua went his own way, left Mary, and you never saw Mary again.
No.
All right, question for you.
No.
Is Joshua's soul incarnate on the earth right now?
No.
Why not?
Just not.
Okay.
Nope, does not want to.
Okay, so why don't Hallie's sons in this life want to support her?
It's primarily, quote unquote, it's a combination of things. One is the man's world they're from the man's world. 2, in Sean's eyes and Christopher's eyes, she's an environmentalist that goes against them. She doesn't have to say one negative word to them. Not one. She could support them 100%. But if she says one thing in support of the environment, she doesn't even have to mention oilfield. And they start flipping shit on her.
Okay, that's fair enough. I don't want to get too deep into that.
They do the same thing to Alex.
That's fair. That's fair.
Alex has started to see a lot of true colors. And so there's a combination of things, from the father to the uncles to you name it. It's just so many things involved.
Yeah.
And so Hallie's attempt with Ryan was, in a nutshell, one last try in a different way.
Okay.
And see how he handles himself. And it's not going very good.
Okay, so
And that's the way it
is there anything you want to tell her? Well, I guess I should ask this question. Do you want her to listen to this?
It's not imperative, but could you, she can listen to it later, but would you please tell her that we understand everything. We know why to everything. One, start. Just start. We will back her. And to please know every protection possible is in place and ready to go. She does not need to come out barrels loaded. Just start. Get comfortable. Let it start going. And in the process, we will communicate to and with her to help her deal with how to say something, but we need her to really, hang on. Got to really, really, really focus on staying committed. To start.
Now, when you say
and commit to finalization of one thing.
Okay, for the record, when you say committed, you mean follow through once you start.
Follow. Sure. Let that evolve on its own. Stay focused. Go to the next step.
Okay. Is there anything else you want to say before we go?
No, that's good for now, but the little miss is up, so we better hang up.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Our thank yous. You're welcome.
Thank you. Do you want me to talk to her before you go?
Yeah, just quickly, please.
Sure.
Yeah, just quickly. 5, 3, 2, 1.